made $46,000 in straight commission selling life insurance in just under 27 actual working days. And in this video, I want to share with you my journey and my personal story of how I went from zero to making $46,000 in just one short month. Because the reality is, it wasn't pretty, and I had to go through a lot to be able to actually get there. And my hope of this video is to really show you what it really takes to become a top life insurance producer, to get to the run rate of making $500,000 in 1 year. It actually all started back when I was 18. That is when I got the entrepreneurial bug, to where I really wanted to actually own my own business and be able to sell my own products, because I was sold on the dream and the lifestyle of being able to work wherever, whenever you want, and be able to actually have freedom in my life, but also make a ton of money while doing it. And I wanted to have full control over my life and not have to work for somebody else and work 40 years of a job that I absolutely hated, but be able to do something that I actually love. So what I did was I had about $6,000 to $8,000 at that time, and I dumped all the money into starting my very first business when I was 18 years old. Now, honestly, like, I had no desire in creating my own clothing line. Now, I actually was not a graphic designer at all, and I didn't have any really sense of good style. And so I just wanted to create a clothing line to share a message worldwide. Because I remember being on vacation with my dad. We were actually in Florida, and he came to me and he was like, the clothes that you wear are actually a billboard, and each person is a walking billboard around. And it gave me the idea of, hey, if I want to spread a message, if I want to really create a movement around the world and be able to have a ton of walking billboards, I have to create my own clothing line to be able to get this message across, so that my voice and my message is able to be carried throughout the whole country without me having to be the one speaking consistently. So what I did was I created this clothing line called More Apparel, because I wanted to be able to share, like, hey, life is more than the circumstances you're in right now. There's another side to the pain that you're actually facing right now. We need more love. We need more Jesus. We need more God in our lives. And so this is the message that I wanted to share, but also use some of that money to be able to fund my business adventures. And so I took $6,000 to $8,000, put it into the clothing line, and started creating my own clothes. And so it was going well for 3 to 6 months, and then all of a sudden it tanked and absolutely just went down. Now, I would not advise at all for you to start a clothing line, just because the margins are absolutely horrible. And it was hard because really I didn't know how to sell, and I didn't know how to market. And so that's actually what led me to having a job at Starbucks. So this is when I really picked up. I was working just full time, trying to figure out the next avenue and journey that I wanted to go down. So at this point, I'm working at Starbucks. This is when COVID just happened and actually just came onto the scene. So I'm working 50 to 60 hours a week. And what's nice, at that time, I was 19 to 20 years old. So I was able to pretty much buy the things that I wanted to. But it was at this time that I actually ended up proposing to my then girlfriend to become my wife in the future. And so I was working full time, but I had to figure out another way to be able to make more money than just making $2,000 to $3,000 per month. What's crazy, so I was making the $2,000 to $3,000 a month, feeling on top of the world as a 19 to 20 year old, but there's more responsibilities that I had, and I knew I wanted to embark on a new adventure, and I wanted to be able to have my own business like I did in the past, but a business that I could actually live on. Because when I had the clothing line, I wasn't able to live on that income. I still had to work at that time. So fast forward, I get engaged and I'm working full time at Starbucks. And then my father-in-law actually comes up to me. He's like, hey, I think insurance might be a really good vehicle and avenue for you to actually go down. And so honestly, I was like, hey, you know what? I am open to exploring this opportunity. You're doing really well. He was able to grow and exit his business as well. And so I was like, you know what? I definitely want to pursue this avenue and opportunity, because it seems like he has it on lock. He knows what he's doing. He's able to live on a true business, which is awesome. And I wanted to do the same. So I was decided, hey, I'm going to take you up on this opportunity. He introduced me to somebody that was doing group insurance benefits. So they're called voluntary benefits. And so this is my first step into the insurance world. Now, stay till the end, because I'm actually going to share with you how I got into life insurance and how I was able to scale my business past $46,000 in just 1 month of straight commissions. But in this time, I was told, hey, you could literally make 6 figures a year, the magic $10,000 per month. You might be wanting to make $10,000 a month, maybe $46,000 is way too out of your mind right now, but you're like, hey, if I could just make $10,000 a month, my life would actually change, which it could, right? So I get told about the opportunity of making $10,000 a month, and I was like, if what you're saying is actually true. I remember sitting in Tempe, Arizona, a few miles down from ASU, and this is when I actually dropped out of college. I was trying to figure out my next step. Just got married at this point, and I remember sitting in his office and him sharing, hey, you could literally make $10,000 a month. Here's what you got to do. Go pass your test within the next 5 to 7 days. And so that's literally what I did. I took off a whole week from Starbucks. I used all my PTO that I had accrued so that I could still get paid, but then also study as much as I could, 6 to 8 hours a day for my life insurance test. So fast forward, I ended up passing it after the second time. So if you pass the very first time, you're way ahead of where I was at this point. So now I quit the job at Starbucks. I'm doing insurance full time now. I was on a base plus commission type thing, but voluntary benefits don't pay the same as life insurance. They actually pay way less. So I was selling a lot, but I wasn't getting paid a ton. And so here's where the mindset actually comes in. You could take something from this, because I had the grit, I had the determination, I had the drive to make sure that I was going to lay everything out on the line. I was sitting on, I would remember like on Sunday nights, I'd get my projections out. I'd plan my week. I'd make sure everything's lined up so I could have the activity to be able to make sure that I did the amount of activity that I needed to do so that I can have the outcome that I wanted and really truly make $10,000 a month doing this. So in this time, I'm knocking 30 to 40 businesses every single day, which is really, really challenging to do. But what I did is I would pull up Google Maps, and what I would do is I'd type in businesses around me and then also pockets of businesses. And what I'd do is I'd just door knock and really pitch them and try to get into the door to be able to go and sell their employees and really get them the benefits they need so that they can retain the clients or retain the employees, make sure that they're taken care of as far as that goes, delivering pizzas, doing literally anything that I could to get in front of these business owners to let me in, and then also enroll the clients into these voluntary benefits. So I did that for 3 to 4 months. That's when I kept listening to podcasts over and over and over again about the opportunity of selling life insurance. So this is when I really went full deep into the idea of life insurance, and it didn't seem real because you could actually buy leads. Now, the way that I made $46,000 in 1 month was not by buying leads. I did it completely without buying leads, and I'm going to go deeper into that later. But in this time, I heard, hey, you could buy leads. You can get people who are actually interested in buying the life insurance product that you're looking for. So I knew that I had the work ethic, I had the drive. I knew that if I got in front of interested and warm leads, that I'd be able to close them. So this is when I made the pivot from working full-time at Starbucks then to selling insurance door to door and business to business, but not actual life insurance. And then I made the full pivot to selling life insurance full time. So this is when it really gets interesting, because I got into the industry. I was actually told, and as I asked a few different people about the opportunity of life insurance, that you can make $30,000 to $40,000 per month your very first few months. And so I was like, hey, if I did half of what you're saying, I could be making $20,000 a month. I could travel the world, my wife and I could be literally doing whatever we want to do. And so this is when I actually took the jump into selling life insurance full time. I remember the first day that I got in, I spent $800. I got a credit card, swiped it for $800 on leads, and unfortunately I didn't even make a sale. Now at this point, I'm close to 6 months into being married, and I'd never used credit cards at all. And so it was a very foreign concept, but that's what they told me to do. So you know what? I did it, and I didn't even make a sale for my first 2.5 weeks after I spent $1,600 on leads. So I knew that there had to be a better way to do this, but that was when it really sunk in that, hey, this might not be exactly what it's all set out to be. But what I did was I reached out to a ton of friends and family, made a few sales. I don't recommend to do, because once you're just starting, you don't know exactly how to actually help families, what products are good and bad. And so you're just told from the uplines, the IMOs to push these certain products, which looking back at it, they were just horrible products. So fast forward, I made a few sales. After that first week, I made like close to $6,000. So fast forward, it's 2.5 weeks in, and I actually make 2 sales for close to $6,000 in annual premium, which they didn't end up getting approved, which I made huge mistakes on doing that. Didn't underwrite correctly, didn't actually get the policies issued. I tried. One was super unhealthy, the other one was super old, and I messed up on the application, which led the policy not to draft, and I didn't get paid. Now, at this time, I'm trying to figure it out. I end up going in the field. I start selling over the phone. I'm like, hey, if I could do $10,000 a week in sales, I could really ramp up my income. And it looks good, right? Because I'm coming in and I'm making the sales that I need to make, and it looks good on the leaderboards. But there's one thing to actually sell the policy. It's another thing to actually get the policy issued at the end of the day. So that's just a quick tip for you guys. Make sure that when you guys are selling policies, that you're not just selling them right away, but then you're also making sure that they get issued on the spot. And if they don't, and they don't get approved and issued right there on the spot, then pivot to another carrier, write them, and just rinse and repeat over and over and over and over and over again, because we want to make sure we help the clients, but also you can't mess yourself up to where your cash flow is out of whack, because at the end of the day, this is a business too. I'd rather have a family protected than a family thinking they are protected, and that time does come and the policy never actually got approved or issued. So that's just a quick side note to make sure that every time you're selling, make sure that you get an approval right there on the spot. And it's also really good for your cash flow as well, so you keep it going and the momentum going over and over and over again. So I was selling, I don't know, maybe like 10-15,000 a month, and then I actually pivoted from that agency I was with to another one, and that's when I ended up doing $25,000 of issue paid business in 1 week, right? It's in 5 days I did that, which was really cool, but my lead spend was really high. Now this is where the things take a turn a little bit, and I actually pivoted from that agency to another agency, and then I pivoted to another agency. Like going back, I don't recommend switching all those, but transparently, like I've had to mature a lot in this process, and going through 5 different agencies and IMOs my very first year in the business was not a good look. And I wish I would have done my due diligence a little bit earlier and found one place that I could actually sit down, settle in on, but then also that I didn't get shiny object syndrome over and over and over again. So that's just another quick tip for you guys to make sure that if you guys are pivoting agencies or IMOs, that you make sure that you do your due diligence, talk to a few different people about the opportunity, get real bank statements from people who are producing there, so that you're not just sold this false dream. And don't just jump right away. Take the time to weigh the pros and cons of each opportunity so that you can actually get to that next level, and that you can find a home that ultimately gives good comp, but then also is a good culture fit for you, because those are really important details. So fast forward, I ended up going $15,000 in credit card debt. Was absolutely horrible. I did $300,000 of like actual like submitted business, but then those policies either weren't drafting, I'd get chargebacks, and I'd have to keep spending I already spent the money on leads. So I ended up going into this hole, and so I had to figure out a way to be able to get out of this. So this is where the story really takes a turn for the better. And this is when I went from mortgage protection over Zoom and over the phone to complete final expense over the phone. So I was buying leads at that time, but then when I pivoted to final expense, I knew there was another way than just buying leads. And so this is how I teach agents now to be able to get out of their situation there. And now maybe you're just breaking even, maybe you're making a ton of money as well. But I knew that there was a better and new way to be able to actually generate your own leads, so that you didn't have to rely on a lead vendor and also pay 10 times the price of what they're generating them for. Because at the end of the day, a lead vendor is a business as well, and they got to make their money somehow, some way, and the incentives don't align a ton. So that's why I actually don't buy leads anymore, and I don't teach people to buy leads. So when I actually made the pivot in the transition to do that, I was $15,000 in debt before, then started selling final expense over the phone and generating my own leads and taking full control of my source. I knew exactly what to say and how to say it to these people. I've already sold insurance before. I've already sold a ton, but my profit margins weren't that high. So at this point, go in my first 3 weeks, make $25,000 of actual commissions. And that's when I was able to wipe off all the debt that I had and be able to really consistently move forward from there, which is awesome. Now, in this time, just kept doing that over and over and over again, ended up scaling it to $42,000 in commissions. Then it was like 20 to 40 throughout that time. And then literally in September, so I'm like 9 months in at this time, this is when things really ramped up. And I was like, hey, I wanted to see how big and like how much I can actually do in 1 month if I push myself towards it. So I spent $7,500 on ads to generate the leads. And so I generate my own, figure it out. I'm running the numbers and I'm like, hey, if I spend this, I can be able to hit this $46,000 mark, which I ended up hitting, which is awesome. And so what I want to share with you now is exactly how I did that, because that's really my story on how I went there. But I want to share with you guys exactly how you guys can do it as well, and how you guys can replicate what I've done, and how I've also helped people go from $0 to $20,000 a month, like Gonzalo, where he was door knocking, now he's selling over the phone, or Chase, or Max, where he almost did close to $20,000 in 5 days, or even Brandon, who spent $1,500 on ads, and then he did $22,000 his very first 30 days actually working with me. So the 3 steps that all these agents went through, and how I went from $0 to $46,000 a month, is very, very simple. So the very first thing is having self-generated Facebook ads. Now, you might have already tried Facebook ads in the past, but I can assure you that there are people spending hundreds of thousands of dollars per month to be able to feed their family and their agencies and making millions of dollars doing it. So Facebook ads are not dead, I can promise you that, but actually doing it the right way is very different, because I see so many different agents that come to me and they've tried ads in the past, but they haven't actually done it the right way. So the way that you do it the right way is, one, having an expert that's literally guiding you step by step, telling what buttons to click, or literally just doing it for you, where they have hundreds of testimonials like me of people who have actually helped at the core of who they are to be able to transform into having the life that they actually want. So you're going to pay for it at the end of the day with time or money. Yes, there's YouTube videos, and I actually have created step-by-step tutorials to be able to do it, but the reality is the creatives typically aren't as good. The targeting isn't as dialed in as it could be. Sometimes you're running only videos that just aren't converting, or maybe you're running pictures that just transparently just are not good and nobody's really clicking on them. So your lead cost is really high, or you're not getting the amount of leads that you actually want to, or you're just going to people who don't really know how to Facebook advertise. So make sure that you actually find somebody that knows how to do it, that has done it themselves, that is an actual agent as well, so that they can help you scale up, so you don't have to spend your precious time that you could be spending with your family on trying to figure this out, because that's what I did and it was horrible. Then I actually hired somebody, and that's how I was really able to start scaling through Facebook ads way faster than I am now. So that's the very first thing, is actually having Facebook ads dialed in, getting 20 to 30 new leads a day so that you can really scale to that $30,000 to $40,000 a month in actual commissions mark. Now, the second thing that every single one of these agents, as well as me, did to be able to scale my business and how they've scaled their businesses to financial freedom is having a CRM with AI automations, and not just like regular automations, but like literally AI that we've trained a chatbot to be able to text back and forth with the client, nurture them to like call in and buy or book an appointment with you if they haven't already. Really, at the end of the day, to ensure that the leads are actually followed up consistently, getting to qualify so that they're ready to speak to you and they're already nurtured up to the point where they're educated, they know exactly what policy they need to buy at the end of the day, and so they can actually purchase and protect their family. And the very third thing and final thing that I personally made the mistake on early on and really prevented me from scaling to that next level is doing one call closes and actually getting policies issued and approved on the spot. Now, I don't call from my phone anymore, and I don't have any agents that do still call from their phone. We use Kixi, which is a dialer, which it sounds expensive, but I highly recommend using it, or a dialer that has local presence, making sure that you're not calling on those at that time. So this will really allow you to get in front of more people and be able to sell literally from anywhere. I've sold insurance from Mexico to Arizona, North Carolina, in Alabama. I've sold insurance in California, New Mexico, like all different places, Indiana, but really all different places. And so that's what the local presence dialer allows you to do, is to be able to have a one call close, very streamlined process to be able to get there. So that's literally the 3 steps that I went through, and also my whole entire journey of getting up until this point. Now I help agents just like you scale their life insurance business. And if you absolutely loved this video and my story of how I went from 0 to $46,000 in straight commissions in just 1 month, selling from anywhere in the world, then I want to actually break down my exact script with you so you can have the streamlined process that you need to be successful. So all you have to do, click the video right here, and I'll see you guys inside there.